What's good? It's your boy Jay, that's me. Let's discuss the final Raw of 2024 from December the 30th, 2024. A very boring Monday Night Raw. It just wasn't a good show outside of the epic promo war of words between CM Punk and Seth Rollins. Outside of that, this show was, in my opinion, a total waste of time. And I'm hoping going into 2025, especially going into WrestleMania season, Triple H has got to really try going into next year. He has to try. Especially with Raw going on Netflix, they have no choice but to try. So apparently, Cody Rhodes is more than likely going to go to Monday Night Raw. Don't know when. He's not going to, obviously be there all the time, but he's going to be pulling, double duty. So him and Roman Reigns are going to be doing that going into next year, but it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get into the show. So we kicked the show off with Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett. They said that Raw's going to be moving to Netflix next Monday. And Wade Barrett said something that boggled my mind, which was the first 90 minutes of the show was going to be commercial free. But I think he may have misspoke. I think he may have just said maybe the first 30 minutes or an hour. I can't remember. I wasn't even paying attention, so I don't know. Could be wrong. But the show kicks off officially with the New Day. So they come out to massive boos once again. This is like the third week in a row. Last week was cool because they got rejected by Kofi Kingston's mom, which was funny. So Woods says all they've done, and then he's cut off by the crowd. They boo him. So Kofi Kingston, he finally is able to get into the ring after all the boos ran down on them. He says they have a limited amount of time, so the crowd keeps booing. The main event, Jey Uso comes down. He does like a 3.5 minute entrance with the crowd just doing yeet, which was great. So Xavier Woods asked the crowd if they like Jey Uso. So Xavier Woods tries to speak again, but he's booed. And then Jey Uso asks Houston to quiet down, to listen to what this temp has to say. Xavier Woods says they go way back. So then the crowd boos them again. And then a New Day sucks chant breaks out. So Jey Uso says he goes way back with Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. Jey Uso has one thing to say to them, and that is New Day sucks. And so New Day, they're about to walk menacingly towards Jey Uso, but nothing occurred. And then they end up leaving the ring because Kofi held back Xavier Woods. All right, so then this leads us to Jey Uso. He gets on the mic. He says he's got other problems that he wants to address, like Solo and the New Bloodline. He said the OTC would handle that, a.k.a. Roman Reigns. And Jey Uso has Drew McIntyre still running around, messing with him and his brothers. Jey Uso will handle that. And then Jey Uso calls out Drew McIntyre for a yeet down. So Sikoa appears on the screen, along with the rest of the Bloodline, Jacob Fatu and Tama Tonga. Solo tells Jay not to worry. They made their mark last Monday, marking the beginning of the end. Uso's boy Sami Zayn got too close and got dropped last Friday. Solo did what he had to do to get to Roman Reigns. To get Roman Reigns' attention. And then Jimmy and Jay made a big mistake by going back to Roman Reigns after all he did to them. They should come back to the real bloodline. This Ulafala is going nowhere. It'll stay on its neck forever. Solo will destroy Roman next Monday in the tribal combat match, and remain your tribal chief. Jay and everyone else will acknowledge Solo. So, Jey Uso tries to speak, but to no avail. Drew McIntyre comes in and he beats the shit out of Jey Uso. Officials break it up and everything. And then McIntyre comes back into the ring, does a Claymore, and continues to beat down on Jay. And that was the end of the segment. So this was about maybe a good 15, 20 minutes already. And I'm just like, this is a little bit too much. Moving on. So Kathy Kelly, this is an okay way to start the show, but it could have been better. Moving on. Kathy Kelly, she's backstage with American Made. So, Chad Gable says he's sick of all the talk about him not winning a championship and having trouble with luchadors and ducking Otis. Tonight, he's checking stuff off his bucket list. He's taking out Alpha Academy. Chad Gable has taught Otis everything he knows. This is his final lesson. The master remains the master forever. The Creeds say they just weren't born and raised here. Ivy now says they were made here. So this leads us into our first match of the night with Chad Gable defeating Otis. So Otis taps out to the ankle lock. I don't care about any of this shit. I'm a fan of Otis. He's cool. I like him, but I'm so over American Made. And I'm a fan of the Creed brothers and Chad Gable, but I just don't care about this. And so apparently, according to reports, they're going to be moved to SmackDown. So I assume they'll be on this upcoming SmackDown, the first one of the new year. So that'll be fine. It's not like they're going to do anything really. They've just been doing a bunch of mid-card shit for the past 3 to 4 months since they've been a faction. I think they became a faction, I want to say sometime in August or September of this year. I can't remember. Moving on. So, we get a video package. Rhea says 2024 was supposed to be Mommy's year. After a year-long reign, she walked in and out of WrestleMania as the Women's World Champion. Then she took her eyes off the ball and has paid for it ever since. As we approach the new year, one thing has become clear to her. After all the betrayal, backstabbing, and games from Liv Morgan, this has to end. I would agree 10,000%. So Liv Morgan says she promised to take everything away from Rhea Ripley, and that's what she did. Everything Rhea ever did to her, she did back to Rhea, only better. Rhea took her arm. She took Rhea's arm. Then she took her Women's World Championship, her spot in the Judgment Day, and her man, Dirty Dominic Mysterio. Liv Morgan has been having fun, but this does have to end. Rhea says Liv Morgan cleared all of the debt rate that was holding her down. Rhea will return the favor by unburdening her from the Women's World Championship, the title she never lost. Liv Morgan says she has been one step ahead. Every time Rhea thought she had her in the corner, it wasn't Mommy on top, it was Liv Morgan. Rhea Ripley says Liv Morgan is out of moves. No one can save her next Monday. This has to end. So I do agree with this. I'm not a fan of this stuff anymore. I've been over this Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley feud for about well over 4 months now. I just don't give a shit about it anymore. I don't give a fuck about it. It has to end. So Rhea needs to win, obviously, next week going forward. You can do the rematch if you want to at the Royal Rumble. And then I guess from there, you can either move Liv to SmackDown. Or, if you want to, you could probably send Liv Morgan back to NXT. That's what I would do. But we have to wait and see how things play out. But this feud does have to end at least at the absolute latest by the Royal Rumble. Like I said, you can do, you have Rhea go over next week. Then you have her go over again with their final rematch at Royal Rumble. That's what I would do. Moving on. So, Dirty Dom, Judgment Day, they're all backstage. They're all talking, and they're in the clubhouse. So Dom says Liv Morgan has something up her sleeve. Raquel Rodriguez says she's not sure. Finn Balor says he's sure Lady Liv has a plan. Finn Balor has a plan for the War Raiders and Damian Priest. Finn Balor insincerely tells Raquel Rodriguez to let Liv Morgan know he wishes her the best of luck next Monday. Who gives a single shit about this? I don't care about this. I'm hoping next week they end up doing the turn to where Judgment Day beats up Finn Balor and takes him out of the group, and Finn Balor goes to SmackDown. Or better yet, NXT. But he is due for a push going into next year. So we'll have to wait and see with that one. Moving on. So this leads us into a backstage segment involving Adam Pearce and CM Punk. Adam Pearce is just talking to CM Punk silently and everything else. Okay, who cares? This leads us into Pete Dunne versus R-Truth. The match didn't happen because Pete Dunne beat up R-Truth, and this allowed for officials and referees to stop the match that was going to happen. And then Pete Dunne shouts that he's nobody's butch. Who cares? Fuck this shit. Moving on. So Kathy Kelly, she goes up to Io Sky and Dakota Kai of Damage Control. She asked if they considered that they could face each other in the finals of the Women's Championship. The Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. So Dakota Kai says she can't wait to knock Zoe Stark out of this tournament after what Pure Fusion Collective did to Kairi Sane. Io Sky says if she faces Kai in the finals, that would be great. Kathy Kelly asked Io Sky about facing Lyra Valkyria. Io says that Lyra has had her respect, but tonight is not her night. This night belongs to Damage Control. Okay, moving on. So Dakota Kai defeats Zoe Stark. Who cares? So she advances in the Women's Intercontinental Championship tournament. I don't give a single damn about this garbage. Moving right along. So we get a video package looking back at Monday Night Raw when it debuted on the USA Network all the way back in January of 1993. And so we see a bunch of stuff from the past. That was great. Moving on. So this leads us into the 6-man tag. The War Raiders and Damian Priest, they defeat the Judgment Day, Finn Balor, JD McDonough, and Dirty Dominic Mysterio. I don't care about this either. And then post-match, Finn Balor beats up Damian Priest. And the War Raiders, they scare him away. And then Finn Balor says it's not over until he says it's over. Again, I don't care about this feud. I don't care about the Judgment Day at all. I've been over the Judgment Day for well over a year. I've been over them. Like this shit is horrible. Moving on. So Jey Uso, he's furious. He's walking backstage. So Adam Pearce stops him and says he personally escorted Drew McIntyre out of the building. And next week on Raw on Netflix, it'll be Jey Uso versus Drew McIntyre. Moving on. So, Seth Rollins, he's pacing back and forth backstage. And I think Adam Pearce goes over the rules with him or whatever. So that was it. Moving on, we get another Zero logo. So it's a luchador's mask. So that means Pentagon Jr. is going to show up, which is great. Penta Zero Mieiro is showing up. He will more than likely make his debut next week. If not, I would do it the second week on the Raw of Netflix, because you don't want to really do too much for next week. I mean, you want to, because we know The Rock's going to be there. We know we get CM Punk and Seth Rollins next week. We also get Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley to end their feud, supposedly, hopefully. We also get Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa and Tribal Combat. So that should be fun. But you don't need to overstack these shows. I would really say Penta's debut for the week after. Moving on. So Ludwig Kaiser, he gets in the ring. So he demands that the crowd give him gratitude for himself, which is great. He says that he knows each peasant in the WWE universe knows that he belongs at the top of the food chain in WWE, which is true. Kaiser is a plus in everything, which he is. He's European elegance and demands that Braun Breaker walk down the aisle. So Sheamus comes back. The two of them, they have a brawl and have a little fight scene. So Sheamus takes out Kaiser with the bro kick. Okay, that's fine, but I don't give a shit about this. I really don't. Like, more senseless rematches and stuff. So we should all know that next week is going to be Sheamus versus Kaiser. But I do like the singles push that Kaiser is getting. I would hope that Triple H ends up transferring Kaiser to SmackDown, because Kaiser is phenomenal. He's great. I could see him being U.S. champion. I could see him being the Intercontinental champion. And I could see him being the World Heavyweight champion. Definitely not the Undisputed champion, but definitely the World Heavyweight champion, for sure. Kaiser's that fucking good. Moving on. So we get a backstage segment involving Rey Mysterio and the LWO. They're backstage with Alpha Academy. Rey Mysterio knows that Otis will whoop Chad Gable's ass next time. So Alpha Academy walks off. The New Day, they show up. And so Rey Mysterio, they sarcastically clap for him. Pause. So Rey tells them to take their BS somewhere else. Kofi Kingston says if Rey Mysterio will have his crew attack them, is that what a locker room leader does? Rey Mysterio says being a locker room leader is shutting down the massive egos. If they're feeling froggy, he'll jump with one of his partners. The New Day makes fun of all the members of the LWO, including Zelina Vega, and they say that they'll see Mysterio and his crew soon. So I assume that's going to happen next week. Okay, that's fine. Moving on, the main event of the evening, wrestling-wise, Lyra Valkyria defeats Io Sky in a really good match. So she advances. So that's cool. So it'll be Dakota Kai and Lyra Valkyria. That'll be fun. So and this is going to happen in 2 weeks. So that's good. Then we get a video package involving Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa. Okay, that's cool. So the final segment of the night, which closed the show, which was really good. Basically, Seth Rollins comes out and he hypes up CM Punk really well. So Seth Rollins says that once he beats CM Punk, he knows that he's going to be on Raw week after week after week. But if things don't go CM Punk's way, what he'll do is maybe he'll cry about it, whine about it, take 10 years off, take his ball and go home. So then this infuriates CM Punk. CM Punk comes out. So CM Punk's fired up. So he says, took his ball and went home. He says, that's the most industry plant cliche bootlicker line he's ever heard. Which is good. That's great. He says, what paragon of virtue gave Seth Rollins that? He said, did Stone Cold Steve Austin take his ball and go home? Punk hasn't seen the men around here in a while. Did she take her ball and go home? Then CM Punk mentions the crowd in Houston, how they were 15,000 strong, which is insane. So CM Punk says maybe Seth Rollins wants to cry because Punk abandoned him. Punk was sick and tired and left this place. Seth Rollins stayed and ate it. Punk has no regrets. He doesn't want to talk about the last 10 years. He wants to talk about the last 10 months. He asked how Seth Rollins' neck and knee is, as well as his insides after Bronson Reed hit him with 6 tsunamis. How Seth Rollins' pride, since he didn't get revenge on Bronson Reed, and how Punk did by breaking Reed's ankles at War Games. So, CM Punk says that he believes in himself. He says that Rollins is a self-professed martyr. CM Punk came back, and he said he came back here for money, not friends. And he said next week he's going to make a boatload of cash by making the Rollins the victim he so badly wants to be. And then CM Punk calls Seth Rollins a little brother. So Seth Rollins says the little brother crap's not going to work anymore. He said there's a massive difference between him and CM Punk. He said his wife is taking a break to raise a kid, which Punk would know nothing about. He said, so this infuriates Punk. So Seth Rollins then mentions Stone Cold Steve Austin and how Austin came back. So Seth Rollins continued to talk about how CM Punk wanted this place to die and everything. He says that how revolutions are made is when you stay, and they're not made by cowards who abandon their families. CM Punk wants to come back and wave the flag like the rest of them. No. So moving on from that, it was a really long promo. It was great. They did mention AEW in this as well. So Punk then mentions Arrows. He then mentions like the Pioneers. He said he had to leave because of Vince. He didn't mention Vince by name, obviously, but he said he had to leave because of Vince. He mentioned the Arrows, and he talked about how Seth Rollins showed his true colors by stabbing Roman in the back. Now he's dressed like an idiot trying to play the victim. With the situation he created, he says, the Arrows kill weak people. The Greats find a way to march forward. So Punk pulled those arrows out. 7 years, the crowd mostly chanted during Seth Rollins' television time, chanted his name. CM Punk should be dead, but he's not. The arrow throwers are mad. Next week, those same arrows were supposed to do him in. He carries to this day. He'll come to Netflix with a fist full of arrows and jam them down Seth Rollins' corporate throat. I love that line. That was great. Seth Rollins says he never said this to Punk's face. He said, once upon a time, Punk was a pioneer, but now he's a cancer. He's a cancer to the locker room, to Rollins' brain, and to this business. Cancer doesn't cure itself. The only way to defeat it is to cut it out. In 1 week, CM Punk can bring his arrows. Seth Rollins will bring his eyes of fire and heart full of rage and hate to burn CM Punk to the ground. And then they both stare each other down angrily, and that was the show. So this was fine. I did enjoy this. It was really good. I wished this would have gotten more time. We should have gotten a good 20-minute promo, back and forth promo from these guys, but because Triple H wants to book long fucking matches, it didn't happen. So it is what it is. Raw was boring outside of the CM Punk Seth Rollins stuff. And it truly is an end of an era for Monday Night Raw. It will no longer be on television. It's going to be behind a paywall, Netflix. Which, like I said before, nothing lasts forever, as the saying goes. It is what it is. But I'm looking forward to seeing how things will shape up in the Netflix era of Monday Night Raw. These next 4 months for WWE as a whole are going to be very important because they are going into their biggest show of the year. It is WrestleMania season. So all these shows for the next 12 weeks have to be extremely important for the main roster. I have complete and utter faith in Shawn Michaels that NXT is going to be fine and taken care of. But Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, not so much. But what did you guys think of Monday Night Raw? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.